my friends, it's time to turn the key. Release your stress and pain along with me, yeah. It's not about perfection, it's about the connection. Now put it on your canvas and let it be.
Hey everybody, we are back for another day of our 12 days of holiday, our 12 days of Christmas live streaming event where I teach a different painting every day live. Today is the Blue Lake. It is a very simple painting, just a few colors, just a little bit going on. How are you guys doing today?
Very good.
On the mic is my husband, John. He follows me around with our cameras, making sure
guess.
you can see every part of the painting action so you can duplicate that for yourself. So you can make that happen for yourself at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty exciting. I'm just like checking out my really cool little space here and how that's going. It's pretty fun stuff. I'm really excited to share this with you. If you check the description below,
Mm-hmm.
all the materials, even though it's a very short list, are down there, including a link to our website and the traceable if drawing is not your thing.
Yeah.
All right. So let's acrylic paint together.
That's what we're here.
That's what we should do. John's going to be, tracking me and reading your questions. It'll be good. So this is an 11 by 14 that we're doing today. I have a blank canvas to begin with, and on here I have some wishes. Megan is wishing for strength during a happy but also sad time. And Marcy Potts is wishing for healing for a friend who's going through a medical event. And then we have a secret true pet who's wishing for her, for the family name to be cleared up and that the whole family is reunited and everything is healed and put back together. And we are ready to tell you about the paint. Let's talk about color a little bit. So today's colors are Prussian blue. This is always going to be hue. I don't even think they make this the same way anymore, except in oil paint. Titanium white, Mars black. I've got some fluid white paint. This is sometimes called soft body. And economy tip here, you can use craft paint for the splattering technique. And I also have a little zinc white. This is a very nice option if you can do it. It helps you with transparencies. If you've got some glazing medium, you can probably kind of work it out with the titanium white, but you can see these are very different whites just from their strip across their little tube of paint. Now, on colors, you guys ask me all the time if we can go to the palette cam.
Mm-hmm.
Not the palette cam, the easel cam. So on colors, you guys will ask me, well, I don't have Prussian blue, which is what's here. The mixes in this painting are right here, right? And so the first mix I give you guys is this one, which is phthalo blue, black, and white. And you can see this here. Right. And next to this, I did some ultramarine, black and white. And so you can see how that's different. And then I did some cyan, black and white, which is actually probably closest to the phthalo blue. But you can kind of see the different types of colors that you get. And when you see the painting next to this, you can see that it's a very different blue. So whenever I say to you guys, yeah, you can totally use the phthalo blue, black and white, it will give you same tonality, but like we always say, it's a different color. It's a different hue. And that's how we mean that. So
Gotcha.
It's going to be a gorgeous painting if you're doing it with another blue. Just those are the kinds of differences that you can expect at home, so it doesn't take you by surprise. I hope that's helpful. I thought that up today, and I was like, I'm going to show them.
That's very useful.
All right, let's get started. And the beginning is so easy, Mr. Cooney.
Is it?
Yeah, because we just got to paint this whole canvas
Oh my gosh.
with a coat of Prussian blue.
I pushed a button.
What did you push?
I pushed a button where I saw
I was
this.
listening to myself.
You
It
could
was
hear
creepy.
yourself. I got excited because I looked over and there was over 400 people here.
What?
And I was like, oh my gosh, I pushed a button. So I was like, wow, hello everyone.
Hello, all the 400 people. All the 400 people.
Is Simone would like to know is carbon black okay instead of Mars black?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just it's not as intensive black sometimes, so that's okay. On black, they're all different. I have a whole quest on blacks, and it tells you all about that. Whenever we say quest, it's like a drilled in class. It's not a class where we're just explaining art stuff, so it's easy and fun. I have here. This is a stiff white nylon brush. This isn't a sweet deal set. These are super economical, actually, and I really like them. because they have a good filament in them. I can drag off the excess water. They don't take in too much. And I can easily paint a whole canvas with these. If you see these little 3-packs, they are worth a having in your life. Sometimes it's nice to have a big, wide brush that handles acrylic paint that doesn't break the bank. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I feel about that. And as you can see, it does a nice job of pushing this into my canvas. And I'm going to just paint the whole thing with this blue. Whatever blue you're painting, paint it all blue first. And that's going to let you do the dry brushing on top. And even if your dry brushing is very loose, it's going to keep the painting looking very finished and give you a good result. Posting on social media. I love all the hashtags related to home painters now. It's like it's a lifestyle. I guess I was doing it before it was a lifestyle. But now it's the arting lifestyle choice, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
They got an American Girl doll that does it and a Barbie. You know it's big when Barbie has it as a career. All right. So I'm just really quickly just painting that all in, this blue. All right. This last little bit's fighting me. And you can just see I go back and forth. So look, this is how I get my solid color.
Yeah.
Things I pay attention to is making sure all those little white pocks, those little white dots on the canvas get covered up.
Yep.
And in this particular case, I'm just smoothing my brush strokes so I have a nice smooth surface to start my project from. So today we were talking about in group, there's a conversation going on in the Facebook group about the white spots on a canvas. And one of the things that, you know, I've talked about and more art materials people are talking about is there's a coating on the canvases that probably prevents mold. And it may be resistant to paint. But then your canvases have it molded, so that's good. And the fix that we're all finding works out really right now is to do like a misting wash on your canvas or a quick spray wash. You don't want to soak the whole thing, but just kind of give a quick off to that coating, and that can really help if you find that you're like, I'm just painting and it's like plastic. It says no. So I'm wiping this out. Just because the ferrules on these aren't super tight, and so that just keeps the water from getting in there. I'm going to dry this so we can do the next part really easily and let John talk to you, which always gives him a complete and total panic attack.
So hey guys, man, we have a lot of people here today. It's a Sunday afternoon. Oh, look at that! Cinnamon's doing what happened?
Some drops of water on my canvas before the paint had cured and dried. And it lifted because water is a solvent.
A solvent.
It's a solvent. So I'm going to take my Sweet Deal smaller brush because I'm just doing a touch-up.
And that happened when you were cleaning the brush?
So, yeah, when I pulled it out, apparently I had splashed some water on my canvas from my water cup.
Oh, wow, it did.
And it lifted it right up. Ain't that a whole thing right there? So if your paint has not cured yet and you get a significant amount of water on the canvas, it will stop the bonding process. That is what underbinding actually looks like in an extreme event.
Extreme underbinding.
Extreme underbinding. All right, so we got that covered up good enough for our purposes. This time I'm not going to drop on here. Be super careful. And now I'm going to dry it and leave you alone with John. And you're going to look at my hair.
All right, there's all the buttons. So I was saying, wow, there's even more people here than there were before. So, gosh, thank you guys. Don't forget, in the description below is a link to our website, which has a list of all the materials that you're going to need here. It has a link to the traceable and to reference photos and to all of the other projects that we've got going on here in our Christmas holiday live run, as well as all the other events that we've done in the past. And, you can find, we got chat in there, and I got all of our other cool resources up on the website. So don't forget to check that out. Don't forget to share your picture up. You can post those up on really anywhere, whether it's on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, any of those places. Just tag it back to us, and we'd love to see those.
We do. We'd love to see them.
What you looking for?
I'm just checking my horizon line. So my horizon line is about 9 inches from the top of my canvas, which looks like it's going to be about 23 centimeters, just about like a hair off of each other. That's fine. Just anywhere in that space. I'm going to just make a little mild chalk line. And this is just kids' chalk I've sharpened in a sharpener that has one of the universal openings to it. So that's just how we get that. So that line there is just going to help me know, what I'm doing and how I'm painting it and where I'm going to kind of stop my diagonal and move to my horizontal stroke. Because this whole canvas, this whole easy trick is about diagonal versus horizontal.
That makes sense.
So I'm going to put out a little more of my Prussian blue.
Prussian.
Did the pictures help clear up any of the stuff about the different blues?
Yes. Very
Okay,
much so.
cool.
That's very useful.
I think we need to do more of those kinds of things, but in a more pulled out kind of way, like, why do you have so many yellow?
Yeah.
Is they so different? Can't you mix everything with primary challenge? All right. I don't need any zinc yet, so I'm not going to put it out. I'm going to grab a nice big wide brush. I think today I'll grab one of these nice short-handled number 30 ruby satins. These are brushes for acrylic painting that have a synthetic filament, so they're not going to hold too much water. If you're doing a different type of filament, just check how much water is on your brush. And first I'm going to load up with just my Prussian, and I'm going to tip it with just a smidge of the white. See, just pulling out. And I'm going to come load this backside a little bit. There we go. So we're all loaded into the brush, and I'm going to just start making diagonal strokes. And you can see Prussian blue over Prussian blue is really almost a black. And actually in kind of tone and value, it is. I got a new thing we're going to do. We're going to demystify all that. New trick, new video. So I'm just painting this darker color up here. I like the top of the sky to be a little bit darker. So I've just got a little bit of white in the stroke. And you can see I'm stroking from the upper left towards the lower right, pulling it down, but I'm shortening the stroke about here. Now you'll see though that I complete it through though, so it pulls a nice long line. It's a thing that you can do. So as you're going, I'm going to add a little more white to my brush. You can see I hit it one side, turned it over, and hit it another side. And I'm going to load up some blue and a little more white. There we go. Now we got to. And we're going to start pulling. So sometimes I have to stroke up so I get these little streaks. And I'm pulling this down on this diagonal. It's a blustery day kind of effect. There we go. Some wind. The trick will be don't overblend it. Right? I'll show you one and then I'll fix it. So if you go like this, it just is a lighter blue.
So Nicole has a question here.
Okay.
She says, I'm painting on a professional canvas using professional paint and glazing liquid.
Uh-huh.
Some of the paint is chipping off, similar to the way my nail polish will. Am I using too much glazing liquid?
Wow. What's the company's brand?
Okay.
Because a lot of bottles say glazing liquid, but they do a different thing. We'll put out some more Prussian.
Yeah, why don't you why don't you type that out in the description below, and we'll see if we can get an answer back there for you.
Yeah, because there could be an issue with the brand, and then I'll see if there's a known thing. So I'm loading up with the blue. So I'm fixing this, and look, I'm just gonna pull this lightly down into it, darken my sky in the corner back up. And I'm just pulling it down and letting it streak like you do. I'm going to load up with some white and a little bit of the blue. And I'm going to just, you see this here, how I'm letting it be streaky? Blending it back this way, but not over blending it, because if I do that, I will lose all of the texture that I'm looking to do something with in my painting. Right? And what I want is this sort of snowy, blustery day texture. So I load a little bit of white and I get my blue, and maybe like on the corner this time, a little bit of white, get it like on both corners, and we'll just come down here. See? But even if you accidentally get super overexcited and you overwork an area, you can always come back with your brush tip with a little bit of white and a little bit of blue all mixed up like that, and come over that area and streak it right back up. And where I want it to be long, I've just got to make it long. Snowy, blustery day. So I'm getting my snowy, blustery day in. I'm going to bring my dark blue around all the way down to the corner, just because I like the darkness to show the storm. Prussian blue was actually developed as a substitute for phthalo blue, and it's interesting to me seeing how green the phthalo blue goes, that it was adopted as Prussian blue substitute, because they're really very different colors. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a lot more white on my brush. Come here. I'm going to come up from the bottom. And I'll definitely cross in front of my horizon line so that I get a nice streaking effect. That's my white paint and my blue paint. Now, interestingly enough, it's kind of a whole trick getting the snow layered where I want it, because I didn't want it on my ice over my lake. I just wanted it kind of like drifting back by the trees. So I'm actually going to snow twice, once now and once the trees are in, to push them back and make them layered in the snow. And to create that, I'm going to put out my fluid paint, which our cost-saving hack would be craft paint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So soft bodied. I'm going to get my splattering tool. Do this step if you have a splattering tool you trust. These come in my Galaxy set, which is about splattering in dots and spray. But if you have something you use at home, that's okay too. You just want something that you know that when you pull back, you get consistent, dispersed little particles of paint like we have here. So now we're making it snow, blizzard in the background, which is super nice. I'm going to rinse this out, dry this, put this to the side, and then I'm going to do my horizontal brush stroke, which is going to start laying the foundation for my water. So I get my brush wet. You've got to love that we're not having to get a lot of different colors.
Yeah.
And just, go across horizontally. A little more blue. I'll let the white get on it. We're going to just keep making sure that this is super blue. So the whole thing about this is I can even any splatter that got on my lake is getting brushed out. Go ahead and, really hit it with your Prussian.
So Frisky Christy has.
Hi, Frisky Christy.
She is a power splatterer. She took her Sonicare old toothbrush. She says it makes mighty mess. But good
I
splatters.
would think so.
but it has consistent splatters apparently.
So what's lovely about this when we're putting this out is by having these kind of horizontal strokes that have a little bit of, we've got a little white in them and a nice amount of blue. And as we're coming across, see, it just starts creating that feeling.
No.
I'm just grabbing some deep blue for the front. I might turn this over. There we go, because I like it to be a little darker at the front. But now I've got the foundation that's going to make, hopefully, doing my ice a lot easier. And take it up a little bit into my sky. Just to make sure I've got a nice... All right. That gives me a very good edge, right? We've got good edge here. So you can put in all kinds of stuff and be fairly okay. There we go. Let's rinse out our brush for a second. And let's get a brush. Let's talk about what you want out of this brush. Any brush that you grab for scumbling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What you want is something that has a very stiff filament, right? The issue with bristle filaments is that when you get them wet, they start to soften. This, the Cambridge, has a synthetic mix. This, which is my cloud brush, is all this super stiff, indestructible taglines, so you can scrub away. It's a little small for this job. I like to come in and do detail work with it. So I'm going to use this number 8 bristle brush. But when you're using something that you can scumble with, you've got to have something that you feel like you can just go to town. Now, I'm going to do just zinc white in the back here with just a smidge of the Prussian on it. So see, how I smidge it is I just kind of get this on my bristles and then rub it off. And now I'm going to get this all loaded up. And we're going to come back here and we're going to make little kind of curve. Can you see this little curve brush stroke? It's like a little smile.
Yeah.
And we're just going to, and it's dry. You can even come up here and this is, have you seen this thing? John's actually been out in the woods more even than me, but that sort of like low fog cloud bank that happens in snowstorms.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so that's what this is. I'm going to get this wet, dry this off, grab a little more zinc white. And so this is very distant. It's in the background. You can see I'm just pushing and wiggling back and forth and then doing the little smile stroke.
It's that snow falling fog.
It's the snow falling fog.
It's actually just that dense layers of snow in the air just make it so that it just like whites out.
So you can do the smile stroke, which gives you this, and then you can do the little push wiggle. And you're just trying to create a distant little bit of atmosphere. That's going to come around and kind of encroach around the corner here once you get your landscape in. But what's important is just creating this sort of softness back here. So things to pay attention to is you don't want to make too many repeat shapes, right? You want it to be kind of weird and uneven and light and far away. You can have some bits that are maybe more pigmented than others, but that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to push some of this in the background. You just go wiggle, wiggle, and push. And make sure that it's a very organic shape. Right? So you can kind of see it's like, woo, like this, and around, and craziness there. If you only have titanium white, I'm going to add a little of my titanium to my glazing liquid. It is different than zinc, but if I were trapped out in the woods and all I had was titanium white and glazing liquid, this is what I would do. But you can see it's a much more even glazing. It's a different white. It's not as transparent, and it definitely is more impactful to your result. And what I would say about that is just be aware of it and be careful about how much pigment that you're laying down, because it's still a very powerful pigment. So that's the two ways you would get that in. Now, I'm going to sip my coffee and draw on my canvas again so I can chalk in my landscape, which is a fun part, actually. I might even have John microwave my coffee, which I forgot to turn on my coffee warmer.
I'll totally do that. And you get over 500 people that have sitting down here.
Hi.
I know it keeps growing.
So good to have you in class today. I am excited to see all of your artwork. Can you imagine, like, if we were in an actual physical classroom right now, all 500 of us, 102? Like, hi, all 500 people. How are you doing today? First of all, it would take forever because I had to give everybody a hug. And then, we would be doing, like, all kinds of paint clinics, like just figuring out what's going on with brush and water and all kinds of stuff. Then more hugging. Definitely have to art a bunch. And I suppose we'd have to eat at some point because, like, life isn't worth living without food. And then, which I'm just making a joke of, like, you're having an experience. I'm having a panic attack now that John has left me. Sometimes I do too. He thinks it's just him, but actually it's me as well because I don't see the chat. If you're saying stuff right now directly to me, can't see it. Moderators have to tell me about it later, and John reads the comments to me when he sees them, but I don't. If I get the chat, I have a problem where I just stop and read it for a while. Just all quietly, happily reading the chat, which is why going over comments is better for me. All right, John's back. We're good.
Am I back? Is this working?
I did just hum George of the Jungle. A couple of you were like,
What?
Us Skeksis. All right, I'm going to dry this thing.
Gosh, darn it. There's the button. So, yeah. Hi. How y'all doing? We're painting today. There's a lot of us here today. There's a lot of people painting. I can look forward to seeing a lot of blue trees. Is that what this one's called? What'd she call this one? Cinnamon always names these things the weirdest things sometimes. Like, I think this one is called Simple Winter Landscape Frozen Lake with Pines. Yeah. And, so we normally come up with names like, Blue Tree in Woods or, Girl with Red Dress Near Tree. So
Blue Lake.
Yeah, this one's Blue Lake. Is that what this is called?
Mm-hmm.
Blue Lake. Okay.
Tomorrow is Secret Santa, which actually almost was clever. So excited about that painting. All right, so I've got my little chalk, and I'm going to block in my landscape. And one of the first things, I'll block in maybe my foreground object here, which is this interesting landmass. So if this is your horizon line, come down a little bit. And I'm going to make a little snowbank. Right? This is the little snowbank, a gentle sloping little snowbank that I feel like a tree could live on. Right? And if I maybe need to carry it out a little more. There we go. There's a nice gentle little snowbank that a tree might live on. And I'm going to bring it back. And then it's going to have a little friend here, because a lot of times stuff doesn't have completely, totally, utterly even stuff. I feel like I got big with the snowbank. Yep, I do. I feel like I got big. Like I was like, this is the biggest snowbank that I've ever drawn. See how you can erase chalk? That's why chalk is very good. I'm going to be a little more diminished with my snowbank.
Wait, there it is. While you're going here, Brandy
go.
would like to know, would you mind asking Cinnamon what to do when you lose your painting mojo? It's Tote's gone, and I'm lost on what to do. Sad emoji. Very sad emoji.
So, and it's really funny because we actually did, remember we did that creativity talk with Lindsay and Chuck and Angela? So everybody has a different strategy. I generally do something where I just power through and I accept that some of my paintings are not going to be my favorite. Chuck had a really good suggestion, which is to buy some new art materials that get you excited about it again because you want to try them. Another good suggestion was to take up something creative but different. Right? So like right now, I'm in a really weird bath bomb craze. Where I'm making a lot of bath bombs.
There's a couple all over the house drying.
And another creative outlet.
Our pipes are clean.
Yes, I figured out I could make toilet bombs too, and that kind of I got really into it.
we have put so many cleaning scented material to like this old house has the cleanest, freshest pipes of any old house.
I'm making another little hill here. And this one, it lives a little further back than its little friend. Right? So I'm just making sure that these are nice little hills that I feel like I could grow trees on. So I've sketched in my hills. It has your hills. And that's going to make it a lot more possible for me to do my trees. Now, one of the things that can be hard about your trees is kind of getting your trunks in. And I've got a distant couple of trees back here. And to help myself out, I'm going to come to about the right side on the top of my hill and make a little vertical line. And then I'm going to come over maybe a little bit over here. That's in the distance and make another little vertical line somewhere over here. And that's going to help me put in my distant trees. And grab any bright that you have. You could do this with a fan brush if that was like your favorite. Fan brushes are pretty darn awesome. That gives you kind of a different shaped tree, and I want this sort of like downward spruce. So I'm going to use a number 4 bright. You could also use a round. And I'm going to take out my Prussian blue, and I'm going to mix it with my white. And I'm going to make a color just slightly darker. Just a smidge darker. Let's see if I got it. Yeah, about there. Than my background. Because I'm trying to show that these guys are back in some type of mist. So I go tap, 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 and then I start to pull out little strokes that are little branches. And I pull out another little stroke that's a little branch. You can see this shape in the traceable that I provided, so you can kind of even get a sense of the shapes of these. So as I come down, and you'll know if you get too light because it'll disappear. As I come down, I'm going to remember that there's some forward branches and some to the right and some to the left. I'm dipping my brush in water, and I'm reloading with some paint. Just making these in the background trees. See how in the background it is, though? Maybe a little branch will come over here. And then I swing a stroke over to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just bring some little textures down for each little offshoot of my tree. My trees are not even. They have a lot of personality. The branches will get longer towards the bottom. You know, I'm going to be putting some more of my mist back here, but to hide that guy even more a little bit, dipped in my water. Let's come and add another, but yet slightly taller little tree. And I moved it over even a little bit from my line. I wanted to leave room to sort of create a layer of my trees. A layer of my trees. You see how these are just slightly darker than the background? That's the whole trick to this distant tree thing. Just slightly darker than your background. All you got to do to paint a tree in the distant mist or fog or weather. And I see I'm just pulling it out longer. Come here, and this one's a little bit longer. Tapping that out. I'm going to take that all the way to my bank because it would be going behind it. So those two guys are there. How those look? See, they look far away, don't they?
Yeah.
So I've got those little fellows. Now I'm going to put a little tree here and maybe another little tree like right here next to this first one. And so I'm going to get some more of just my Prussian blue, but I'm not going to mix any white into it. And I'm going to start here, and I'm going to come over a little bit and layer these two. So all that is a little stroke up. This tree has to be taller than its friend. Right. I'm going to come over here and thicken the little trunk. Make sure it's very dark. All right, loading up. Let's make a little tree. Pull this down. I go tap, tap, tap. This guy's always a little bit long and tapping down. Little branch can be out here. Little friend maybe kind of coming forward here. So you guys know what I mean by like the downward branch, the little sprucey kind of like upper north tree. Because all the trees have different little vibes to them, right? Kind of based on where they live. Is it dry? Is it wet? Pulling this out, putting a little more blue out there. All right, I'm pulling that out. See, I just take a little stroke out and then I just sort of widen and feather that little branch. Widen it. It's going to be tapered at the little end here. I'm loading up pure blue. I come up with some of that, making sure this is nice and dark. You can kind of see my brush strokes are getting rid of my trunk. If it gets too uniform, I just pull out a little branch. Yeah, I do. And just say, no, 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 you. You're like a thing. Now, real quick, I'm going to put in some snow. You can switch to your bigger brush for this because sometimes it's nice to have kind of a bigger brush stroke. And then we'll put the little trunk back in. Don't even worry about that too much. We just want to get a sense of this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a little of my white into my blue. Because this is a more distant hill. This hill will be not as white, right? Painting this all right here. So this is the blue. Not as distant. Little lake's edge right here, kind of snowed in. And it's okay that I'm painting out this trunk a little bit because I'm going to be putting it back with a slightly darker color at its base anyways, but I know where it is and where I've got it. And now just real quick, I'm going to take a little of my white, but I don't want it to be bright white. You know how this is like still blued? And I'm going to come here, make sure it's lighter than what it's on top of it, but it needs to still be fairly blue. I'm going to make these short little brush strokes on this hill. I'm going to come down towards this edge. A little bank. So my strokes tend to be a little curved. There we go. See how that makes this kind of like a rough, distant beginning of a snowy bank?
Yeah.
Just a rough, distant beginning of a snowy bank. And while we're here, we'll do this guy. And this guy is interesting because it is a lighter color to begin with. Right? So I'm taking a little white over to my blue, making a lighter base color. Because this bank is closer to us, right? I'll paint that in. Just all that lighter blue. This is still this is the number 8 bright. There we go. Paint that all in. You know, we may come back with a dark blue on shading and do some stuff, but we got to get these blocked in so we can get all of our trees in and then put in our easy lake. See, I'm not being real precious about how I'm getting the paint on this. And what I mean by that is I'm not being super careful with my brush stroke. And the reason you don't see me doing that is it doesn't require precision here. If it did, I would go for it that way. But I just want to get that first rough kind of thought in, and then I'm going to put some white on my brush, but I'm not going to rinse it, so there's pigment on there. And I'm going to come along here and just kind of lay my first bank, my first expression of snow, which you can see still has quite a lot of blue in it. And the reason this is reserved is so that when I come through with pure white, it will pop the snow and make it feel like real snow. It's just crazy how well it works. So making sure the pigment in my brush is getting into my white. Well, you see me kind of scrumbling it in. Making this a little bit lighter here as this bank comes in front. I'm not going to take this stuff necessarily, these little short strokes. They're not like little the same, right? I kind of randomize them up. I'm using the corner of my brush. It's a very dry brush kind of thing. Okay, so now that bank's a little lighter. The further bank is a little further. You've got some groundwork to work from. Now you can get into the bits you paint around. So for the trunk back here, just take a smidge of your black into your blue. And go ahead and make sure that that trunk is just a little bit darker than you're expecting. Right? And then we're going to come down here. And let's add a little shadow in the snow. You see this little shadow I'm pulling out? Shadow's a little wider back here and sort of maybe tapers. You can, always nice to sort of make it irregular. You know what I'm doing? There's little bits. Now that that's done, wipe off your brush, get some just blue again. And make sure that your lower branches are defined and looking ready for the snow, because you got to lay some snow on them. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Okay, cool.
You leave a huge crowd of people here.
So doesn't that look nice? We've got that right there. Right, now we're going to build his little friend, which again is the blue. Let's come here. We know his friend is going to have like a little dark spot again. We can put the little dark spot down here. And what that is, we talked about this Friday, is this environmental shadow where the tree protects this part of the ground from the environment.
Now, is this this is a one hoot painting?
This is one hoot. We're just doing two colors, very simple strokes.
Very simple strokes. It's just there may be a couple. There's some layers here though.
There's layers. Not a lot of layers, but there's layers. I've just made a stroke up. My stroke is thicker at the bottom and comes up and gets thinner at the top. I'm going to just, I don't mind if a little white gets into this tree. This tree can even be, in between these background trees and this foreground tree. And we're going to do the same thing. Tap, tap, tap. Little tender top, little narrow top. Pull the stroke at a curve out to the right. Pull the stroke at a curve out to the left. And you can just see I wonder if I need to demo this on a white canvas. I wish I had a white piece of paper here.
I think that the Sherpettes are in hoot shock. They're like, one hoot? It seems hooty for a hoot.
Does it seem hooty?
They're like, it could be hooty. Maybe they just have snow fear.
It could be. It could be that snow is really scary.
There's definitely something scary about the snow.
Okay.
I think it's a little.
Well, if you guys are like, no, this is a two hoot, I will listen to you.
I think it's just they're just everyone's like, all right, can I it's not so much questioning as much as it is like, can one do this? This is for a new painter, or there's some question of confidence. So
well, here, bring me over a white piece of paper and we'll talk about these trees a little more, because the only thing that could make this even challenging, because it's just a diagonal streak stroke.
Yeah. And
it's just a little bit of layering, so it would be understanding the construction of the tree.
Well, yeah, no, I mean there's really not much to this.
Okay.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm
okay.
I mean, but that's where they're coming from. They're just like they're like, hey, it's I think what it is it with all the trees, it seems more complex.
It's just this little pine. Here.
It's there. I'll get you the white one. I'll get you another white board over there.
It's fine. So all you're doing on these is you're taking a little stroke up. Look, it doesn't even have to be perfect, right? I'm just letting myself know where my line is. I'm going to thicken it at the bottom where I know I have a little trunk. I'm going to make sure I've got a little bit of a snow shadow here. This is really, in summer, this is everywhere. So put in your environmental shadow, right? Environmental shadow already was more believable as a tree. At the top, I'm on my corner. I'm like, tap, 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 tap. Just a little bit of And that's just a little bit of corner, and then I come out to the left, real light, and then I sort of thicken that out, and I come out to the right, thicken that out. And maybe this one is a little more towards me. I'll pull this one again to the right. I think seeing it over white might be like helping. So see, it's like let it taper here and pull that down. This one could be shorter. I don't want my tree to be the same, right? One little trick, pull a little foreshortened branch that you can barely see. It's tucked back. It's hiding. This one comes down maybe a little bit thicker, more thought out. This one here, different little angle. You can have a friend. Sometimes they come to the forward. You got to paint about those trees too.
Yeah.
See, so how we're just doing this? And it just makes itself a pine.
It really does.
Come down, and as you'll notice that my brush strokes here, I might give myself a little branch kind of in the background, are getting longer as I'm coming down this tree. And they're heavy, right? And the reason that they're low and heavy is that we have snow on them. So brush stroking to the right, little tentative stroke, then down, over. Over to the left, down. Oh, we're getting nice and down here, right? So these branches are maybe bigger and thicker and heavier a little bit. Work in the trunk, got our shadow, that's a pine. That's all it is on these pines. That's all it is. Okay, does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
And you don't have to see how I'm not too worried about like my trunk even being in here dark because I've got snow to put on these guys. So while I'm here, I've got my brush all covered in blue. I'm going to take some white and I'm going to make, a darker, it's still lighter than what's going on, but it's a darker color. Right? It would be a light color of snow there. And now I'm going to come to the top of this guy. And I'm going to make a little touch with my brush. And I'm going to come and just touch a little bit on the tops of where I have implied branches. Don't forget that sometimes you have them in the center. See?
Yeah.
Little kiss. I leave a lot of the darkness of the pine underneath. My brush is dry. There's not a lot of water in it. I'm letting so much of the canvas show through. But I'm starting to snow up this pine. That's all it takes to snow up your pine. You can snow so many pines. And I mean, like, whether you're painting these in a very complicated fashion or a very simple fashion, this remains true. I'm just coming down and tops of my branches, a little bit of snow. Look at that. That tree has snow on it now. Snowy tree. All it takes to make it a snowy tree. Same, right? Darker kind of blue color, but for the purposes of this back, this is almost our white for this background, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And come here and add some snow on him. Real light, little snow, little snow. How light your snow is how close the tree is to you, how dark and light the tree is. Do a little forward branch. It's important to touch forward a little bit to show that some snow has been caught on a branch coming towards you. If you can pull that off, that will really help your trees. There we go. That tree has some snow now. Let's improve the snowbank back there. I'm going to get my brush with a little more white on it, but I haven't rinsed it. I'm going to come here with this sort of blued white. And I'm going to tap. Look how I'm just barely tapping around the highlights of the snow. Now back here, I just very lightly dry brush a little bit, but not too much. I'm going to take some of my blue. Just make sure that I talk along. I don't want any white on this brush when I'm doing this. This is my shadow. I'm going to just talk along my little bank here. And you can pull some of that color straight down A little bit of this just straight down. If you've got glazing medium, it's incredibly useful right now. Not necessary, but useful, because it'll help you flow that out and make it seem like more of a water effect. Right here between the two banks, you know, we definitely do want it to get darker. And pull it out. See? We haven't even put in the fog yet. Now, I like to talk a little bit about these trees back here. I tend to just pull a little bit of this dark value into this. I might even grab a smidge of my black, even though I know I'm coming back with a lot of reflections, to imply that this is here. See how I'm just pulling it down and doing these sort of random, all I'm doing. And if you look at this, it's slightly a kind of tree shape. A little wider at the base. It's a little narrow at the top, but all of these strokes just pull down. That's the shadow of that tree.
Just sort of implying the tree back there.
We're just implying the tree back there. No need to be getting crazy now. Rinsing off, getting a little more of my blue while I'm at it. If you've got glazing liquid, take advantage of it. This is the golden glazing liquid. Liquitex doesn't, it's an awesome product, does a different thing. Awesome product, dries real fast.
Right.
This is the one that dries slow and glazes. Both cool things, just different. I'm just going to pull this little reflection down again. Right, pulling it down. So the trick about this reflection in the ice is that it'll be softer than a water reflection. More muted and softer because the ice is not a perfect mirror. It is reflective, but not a sharp mirror. So you have to figure out how to share all these shadows. I'm going to take this dark color up the bank there just a little bit. Can you see I did that? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Make sure there's a shadow between those two bits. And just make sure that along here, again, this is just foundational. You get the right foundation in, then a couple of brush strokes later, the whole thing comes together.
It's all those magical layers.
It is these simple vertical and horizontal strokes. I've got this here. Now, while I'm here and I'm thinking about it, I know I've got to talk a little bit about this tree back there. So I'm going to get a little of my black and a little of my Prussian blue. And I'm going to darken right here just a little bit like I did, just along this little edge. Right? Nice dark shadow. I'll make sure that there's a little dark one here, a little bit. Now, pull straight down. Same way. It's just a little bit, it's a shorter little triangle. And I'm going to do a crazy thing. I'm going to pull some of this to my right. You guys see me doing that? And another little one to my left.
Yeah.
But regardless, I have a dark little shadow here and a dark, see, they're reflected. And it starts, right now it looks like water because we haven't clouded it up yet. But the minute we cloud it up, we are set. Let's put it our last tree. Super easy tree. Now that we know all about trees. I'm going to put a little black this time on my brush and get my Prussian blue because this tree is darker. It's darker and lighter than the trees around it. It's our focus. So let's plant our tree and we're going to say, this looks like a good place to grow, tree friend, right here. I'll even put a little shadow in. Starting to talk about a little shadow. There, go tap, 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 tap. Little environmental shadow. And I'll be adjusting that a bit as I go, but I just want to know it's in. Grow a nice little tree. And this doesn't have to be a perfectly straight trunk because it's a wild pine. No one's come to cut it down for the holidays yet. It's just standing there stately, being awesome. All right, taking this one very up high. And then I'm going to load up with my darkened blue. tapping the top, tap, 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 and just doing what I always do, which is pull out a little branch to the left, has a little friend to the left, and go here to the right. I make sure my branches are not uniform. They're not all the same size. All right, here we go. And then over here, pulling it over. If you've been really wanting to know how to do this kind of effect, this is the simplest of that. And you'll get a great result, and it'll help you do the more complicated paintings in this genre. Because you'll look at them and you'll go, oh, I see what happened there. Sometimes it's just hard to see what's happening. The painting isn't hard, it's just hard to see what's happening. Like, why is that tree so far away? How did they push those back? We're not even done yet on pushing it back either. We haven't done our last little snow splatter. We haven't added our extra fog, which is super fun and easy and gives space to our space. How you doing, John?
Good.
Thank you for being here today.
Oh, no. Let me look over here. I'm going to have to say thank you to the over 500 people who are hanging out with us here today.
I like them too.
Yeah, they're here to paint. Well, I'm just here to push buttons.
See how I'm just widening it out. My tree isn't straight. It has a little bit of crookedness to it. The branches are not all the same size. They're kind of random. They're getting longer as they go down. But you know, now I want to leave a little bit of chunk on him because I like showing a little bit of the caught snow right here. I'm going to pull this down. Little branch in for shortening. And that just means it's, at an angle like it's away from us or for us, and we're just implying it's little shapers. All right, here we go over. Oh, that's lovely. It's going to hold some lovely snow. Lovely snow. So, since this is closer, we get to paint it brighter with the snow. I'm going to get a little of my blue on here. But I'm going to do the dust off thing I like to do, and I'm going to get a lot more white. And I'm going to make a much brighter color. See, there's the one I did before, and this is brighter. And then I'm leaving room for one more shade of white. Because if I do, then I can even create a little extra highlight on there if I need it. You can see me just tapping this down. I'm going to be a little lighter on the right side, but not much. But that's so I can put the bright white over here. Let's have a little center branch right here. And a little cis. That's what I mean by center branch. Branch that comes towards us. Will make our tree feel more real. If you're using my fan brush to do these pines, there's nothing wrong with that. Totally. It doesn't really matter. You have your way. You get your pines in and you get your painting in. The tools you get it in with are always okay. Just important that you get it in. But you can see how this being a brighter white really little center tree helps this tree take shape.
Okay.
While I'm here, what?
No, you're okay.
I'm going to just add a little touch to the left-hand side, see?
Yep.
Of some snow that hit that trunk. Because it did. I said so. Hi, how you doing? How's everybody doing? I'm sipping my coffee.
Doing really good. I was just over here. That's why I was reading chat over here. Julie was just saying the heavy branches on a fir tree, they look really beautiful. So, yeah, it's a lot of people really enjoying this today here. So I was just go over here reading the chat. Everyone's really just having a nice time. The snow is really enjoying for people. They like doing the snow on the fir tree, seeing how that's done. I think that's This is really, I think a lot of people are going to be able to do some really cool trees out of this.
Next year, I want you guys to be like, woohoo, it's winter. Let's get our monochromatic art on. It's fun.
Yeah, this also reminds a lot of the moonlit nights. You know, when you can see the moon light up on the trees.
Yes. If you're doing the Thale, it'll just seem like a brighter night.
Yeah. And if you're really
But still
inclined,
work.
I guess you could put a couple of turtle doves in the tree.
If you were mad at the doves, because turtle doves should not be in the snow.
Well, they're not. They're going to be in the tree out of the snow.
They're going to be in this tree. All right, I'm going to rinse
With the
this.
squirrels and the Brisbees.
Now I'm going to treat myself to some pure titanium white. Loading up my brush on both sides. See how I've done? I'm still just on this number 4 bright, little bright that I have control over. And I'm going to come on my left-hand side a little bit. And I'm going to pop a small highlight on some of this with the pure white. It is a powerful thing. And I'm going to focus that more on the left side. This is another way for me to talk about the direction of the storm. You know, it doesn't mean that you can't have any over here. It just might be less than it is over here, much heavier. And then here's some right here. And if you want to, you can be all cheeky and add one last little bit of even more smudgy snow. Yeah, that's how you do it. Now let's finish up this bank and put in his little reflection so we can start frosting the water and snowing the rest of this. This hill is super fun for me. I like the front hill because there's a little bit of tonality in here and you get a little playful. Playful. All right, so I'm going to take my pure blue.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Oh, we're still on snow.
Yeah. We're still snowing.
There, people were were nervously approaching the reflection, which everyone was
so
tentatively.
easy. That's the best part.
They're like the reflection. I'm concerned of how that's going to work out, and I'm going to be able to do it.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to teach y'all how to do these in sponges and everything, and then pretty soon you're going to be like, reflections is just how I just paint real easy.
Yep.
So you'll
No
notice
problem.
that I'm blending in these two areas here. Right, I've got my little white coming back with my blue, and I'm sort of blending this in. Right, bluing it up a bit. You can come back with some of your pure blue and just, I almost think of this as like a type of weaving into the snow. Right. Now I rinsed off and I've got a little blue. I'm going to come right here and up my tree. Maybe around the base a little bit. That's the most detail work I've got to do up there is right there. And that just gives it a beautiful environmental shadow that it's casting. I'm going to wipe off my brush. And I'm going to start snowing. And I'm going to even use my smaller brush here. Now, I've got pigment on it. But I'm lightening this up. And I'm going to come on this back side. And I'm just tapping in little small, happy little strokes. Because all brush strokes are intrinsically happy, in my opinion. And when I'm here on the front bank, I'm going to do this on my wide. And then where I want to create more energy, I switch to my side of my brush. It's an interesting thing you might not know. I'm going to come over the top of this.
Yeah.
And I'll do a long stroke for that to define that edge. And the reflection is so much fun. We're just doing this. We're putting in this little bit. Oh, so fun. Let's put, you need some more over there. Doesn't have enough going on. Drop some snow right here. Maybe some came back here. Definitely up here at this top edge where I can stroke a longer stroke just to show that bank. And I'm going to do my shorter on the side strokes to be some textures. And when I'm happy with that, right, then I'm going to get some pure white like I do. And I'm going to add dapples of this. Snow is ice, and ice reflects light. Snow particularly does it in a really beautiful way. I'm here with my pure white. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So it's just about these being lighter values and these being, I mean, not lighter values, more dim, darker values to the background, and it pulling forward and becoming lighter and lighter. This tells you a lot. I was excited to show this because this tells you a lot about what it takes to paint landscapes. Now I'm going to kind of tip here. Make sure my bank is smooth. Goes off my canvas beautifully. And I'm going to make sure that I'm really happy with my result. And when I am, I get to do a couple fun things. Now, first fun thing I get to do is get a little of my blue and some of my glaze. I'm going to come back here and kind of add this darker blue little bit of, you know, fog. I'm going to get my zinc on my brush. And I'm going to just show a little bit of this fog, right, coming forward on the ice. John knows exactly what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that, but I just think it creates a nicest little layering
in
this space. It's nice to layer. Do you want to layer a little bit? Just showing that this is rolling in was kind of my whole purpose in that. So I've got that in. We'll put some reflection on. So the first thing, get your blue, get your blue, get your blue. You can do this with your big brush. You can do this with your small brush. But you're just going to want to pull down an extra little layer of blue. I might even grab a little black in it. And I'm going to do this sort of dark right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to definitely pull this back and darken along this edge. I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to get a little of my blue. If I have to, I'm going to wipe off. I don't want a lot. I want to dust off. I'm going to get some of my zinc white. And I'm going to, and I may turn this to the side so I have an easier time brushing on it. I'm going to pull down some straight zinc or titanium white and glazing medium, but very transparent. Little mixes here, kind of coming right off the canvas. See how they're doing?
Yeah.
Right off the canvas. And the reason we're doing this light color is this trees in front of us is what color? White.
Yeah.
So we've got to talk about that if we're going to, talk about that.
Sometimes
and then
I'm
one of the
worried
things that you can do that you might not know is you can take some of these strokes to the right horizontally.
Sometimes I don't jump in and answer because I'm worried it's a trick question. Like,
Oh.
what color is this tree? And I'm like, I think it's white, but maybe it's blue.
I would not do that.
I don't know. I don't really want to. I'm going to wait. So I'm just going to be quiet for a minute and let you answer the question.
Let's see how I'm pulling this over. That's a lot of what we're going to be doing. Now we're going to frost this lake in a second. If you've got something to block your canvas with, paper towel, sheet of paper, you're going to need it. Oh, I'm going to get a piece of paper. Don't let them see.
Don't let them see you get a piece of paper?
Yeah.
You left the camera. I mean, other than I could let it. What would I have shown them?
Okay. What I'm going to try to do is create a small resist. I always have extra tape. You'd think I'd have 25 pieces. There's some. I do. I always have extra tape. And I'm going to just tape this here. Mostly because I don't want any snowflakes on my ice.
Hold on a second.
Everything okay? I'm going to sip my coffee. See that? What? Oh my gosh. That's Honey's homework? Don't tell her that. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine her having to go to school? My mother painted on my homework.
Yeah.
Only in Honey's life is that a real thing.
I was looking at that on the other camera. And I was like,
That's Honey's
I was reading that paper, and I think
Don't
that's Honey's
tell her.
homework.
My mom painted on my homework. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm tapping this into my brush to my tool, right? I want smaller flakes, which is why I'm not using my other splatter brush. That's why I'm using this one.
Oh.
And I'm going to very carefully just add another layer of snow here.
In
over
the
everything.
sky.
Yeah. It's starting to come in, right? They have a storm blowing in. They've been through one, but there's a new one coming. So, and I should be able to very carefully even take, with this particular tool, not with every tool, take some down. So, now it's snowing. My lake is ready for me. I'm going to grab my 10 bright. I need 10 bright. And I'm going to start painting in this frozen, beautiful surface. And you guys are going to do it with me and be like, I totally get it now. So reflections are going to be, there's going to be a shadow under your bank. This is going to be darker. Reflections are generally darker in the water than they are visually. So you often will darken those up. Not always, but mostly. Some of them will travel horizontally, and it is that play between your vertical and the horizontal that tells your brain that this is a frozen surface, right? If we were just doing a wet surface, we would do a much clearer, more like that would actually look like the tree. If there's not wind in this, that would actually look like what's reflected in it, like a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So put my blue out. That's my blue. 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 Put a little more zinc out. You can be using your glaze in titanium if that's where you're at. Nothing wrong. Okay, let's go. I'm going to tip with a little bit of black, and I'm going to come get some blue. You can get some glaze, but definitely these two. And I'm going to come here, and I'm going to pull down even more shadow. And I'm pulling straight down. See, my brush stroke goes straight down. A little bit here. A little more blue. Blue. Not rinsing off. Glaze if I need it. Come along here. Definitely darken this. Pulling this down. Now, I'm going to... I don't know if I want to flip. I might flip it so you guys have an easier time seeing it. This is now my right-hand side, but was my left. I'm going to pull some of these dark blue streaks across. All right. Get a little more blue in there. And that's going to go. And then there's going to be, it's going to be darker here in this corner, which was your right lower corner, but now is my upper left corner. I'm going to pull this across here, just this darker value. Now I'm going to get a little of my zinc. And you'll notice the zinc treats your blue very differently. And it's one of the reasons, another reasons why it's a powerful tool for the ice. Now I'm just lightly, can you see this, pulling this back into these dark reflections. Pretty nice. Along here, you can even talk a little bit about the bank, the white of the bank. Just make sure that what you're doing just, we can come here and, oh, there's a little light reflection here, right, because of the tree. But we're doing it horizontal. See that? So we're doing pretty good. Let's get a little more of, I'm going to use my zinc. So if you're using titanium white, make sure you make it as transparent as possible. I'm going to come in the center, and I'm going to start pulling across this frosted center. This is a new thing for me, painting upside down.
I flipped the reference here for you.
Did ya?
Yeah.
I can't look back at that though.
Well, everyone else can see it.
They
though.
can see it though.
They can see the
And
reference.
again, what I'm doing is I'm just making sure I'm just taking this. So I'm playing verticals and horizontals. I'm going to get a little of my blue. Maybe I'll get a little titanium this time to really lighten it where it shows that it's light. Right in the center here. I'm brushing. Now, it over here too. Just soft horizontal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Just a soft horizontal. Let's get some blue. We want it blue and really popping. Now I'm going to flip it back over. Are you good flipping it back over?
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to see it both ways, so that helps me. I'm going to get a little of my black and a little of my blue again. Feel like we lost a little bit right here. Might even come along here. Darken that up and pull that down just a titch. I'm going to pull a streak down. If you need glaze, get your glaze. And we'll pull a reflection to the side. Okay?
Now, Jody was asking, why don't you want the snow falling out over the water?
Well, I looked at the composition both ways, and what I found is that I felt a greater depth where the water was just super reflected and the storm had not hit it there. It created this sense of something coming at me, coming to me, but not yet to me.
Gotcha.
So it's sort of interesting. So, and there's a lot of work to get these reflections in. I didn't want to take them away from you guys.
Right. And as a
blue.
As a painter, you can have selective focus.
You can. You choose what you want to talk about. I'm pulling a dark blue straight down, and then I'm going to do something, guys. I'm going to go to the left. See? To the left. How powerful that is? And then straight down. So it is balancing these two events and creating this foundation that you're going to be doing. Blue. I've got just blue. There we go. Nice titanium. So I'm going to come here and just make sure this is. So very soft dry brushing horizontally. Oh, the dog's underneath me and she's got gas. It's a thing, John.
What's that?
Suffering is real.
What's that?
The dog is underneath me and she's eating something she shouldn't, and it's a whole moment for me and I'm going to die.
Okay, I'll see if I can get her.
No, it's okay. She's like totally asleep under the easel. You know how she is.
She's sleeping?
Yes.
Oh, God.
I'm just going to show this reflection. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
It's like the top of the hill is showing. But the trick with this one is just making sure that you've got a nice sort of up and down brush stroke. And now I'm going to take my thing and I'm going to work out some different interesting ice kind of effects. So let's come here and I'm going to wiggle back and forth, coming forward. I'm going to stroke out to the left and then pull down. See? Come over here maybe. Make a little vent and then pull down. Everything about this is just going to be, can you keep your brush, going the direction it's supposed to go? I'm softening this. It was just a little, these are softer reflections. So this is just everything we're doing is about putting these out and softening them out, and then we're done. We're like literally almost there.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm just loading up some fresher zinc because my zinc was all dry. I'm going to come across here and make a pretty startling one. So I'm going to make the streak right across here. And then I'm going to stroke down. And it's going to be a little longer right there. We just pull some down this way and pull it out to the right. And then pull it out to the left. See how it just all softens and we can take it across?
Yeah.
You get your glaze. You come back. You can layer a dark reflection over a light one. And I'm going to take this. This is real dark here, but I actually want to take some lightness all the way off the canvas. And the reason that we want that is so that we have a path into our composition. I get my blue, my glaze, and I'm just going to just making sure we've got a nice vignette happening where it's dark coming off, light leading in, dark to the sides. I think we could use just a little more white in that reflection coming down. I'm going to just brush some down. There we go. You just got to feel, you got to be like, am I believing it? Am I believing my own painting? A little bit to the right. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. Yeah.
It's
you guys are good. We're good.
You just need a little feeling of the trees out there, huh?
Just a little. Yeah, you're just talking about it a little bit, but you don't want to go crazy.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose what you came to the painting for. And what you're seeing me doing is just making sure that this surface is multi-reflectional, let me see how it's looking. See, it's looking very icy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just the coolest thing in the world. And if you get an area that's too bright, just look, you just glaze right over it. Look at that. So it doesn't pull your eye and you can come back and put it back in exactly how you meant to. You can come up with this. So how I do this is I wiggle back and forth, but the brush is on the straight. I can just pull that down. Okay. And that's all it takes to get those effects. So you're just pulling your color. And if you have trouble getting it where you're having to pull it vertical, you can always just turn it to the side, right? And still get a very nice stroke. There we go. I'm just pulling this right off. Pull us in. You can take that into this. And then over. See? You just go in and over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every time you make a little adjustment, it just takes on a more frosty aspect. And the last thing that you can kind of do, and you want to get your brush sort of dried out for this, you can load up in some Just Sink, and you can go over it and make a couple dry brushed, very light, sort of like, it's not the same as water reflections like what we do.
These are like water highlight, ripple.
Yeah, this is just some light dancing on it. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
That's all it is. We're done.
Oh, wait, we're signing it.
Oh, yes, we will sign it. You must sign your painting.
You must sign it. Make your maker's
See,
mark.
it's just, I hope this felt like a one-hit to you when it was explained. I feel like, sometimes compositions look very complicated, and once you know the layers, you're like, oh, I know all of these things. Like, I can stroke diagonally, and I can stroke horizontally, and I can use these products, and I can flick a toothbrush. And
Yeah, Nikki can't wait to paint this one. Julie says this is the most beautiful painting ever. I think that a lot of people are feeling much more confident about this now that they've had a chance to sort of see it through. And so, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of blue lake. Is it Blue Lake?
Blue Lake.
Blue Lake
And then
painting.
hopefully Secret Santas too.
And Secret Santas too.
I'm going to get a little of the blue on my brush that I'm signing with. I want it to be lighter than my background, but I don't want it to stand out so much that it's like disruptive to the canvas. I'm going to come here and I'm going to just, you can see that I like it if my signature feels like it belongs here. All right. Reflections. We're doing this so y'all can just paint all the water. We're going to do it with sponges. It's going to click. It's going to happen
This
for
is
you.
awesome. Everybody's loved this. This is a great weekend. Everybody's really enjoyed doing these paintings. So thank you, Sam. That's the big thing they wanted to say is for me to pass along. Thank you. And they can't wait to look forward to the next paintings too.
Oh, they're going to be so good. You're going to love them. Go check out Secret Santa. It's coming up tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have one that you guys selected. And then there's one that's a very, very special one for families over the holidays that are in the military. So that'll be our closing out of the holiday season.
Yep.
I hope you guys are great. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at Easel really soon.